Hello, this is Arcades, and welcome to another Foundry video. And we're gonna do another tips and tricks video here. And this time, I thought I'd like to focus on some of the automation itself. And we're gonna be using this stream world that I built. I was playing the demo on Twitch, and this is the world I built there. And we're gonna be taking a look at this, at some of the stuff too, because I had to I had to do some interesting things. Mainly because I wanted to do it to myself, so to speak. But the point was, no, that's a rant for another day. Anyways, but yeah, so we're gonna cover some tips and tricks with the belting and the conveyors. Oh boy, this is gonna get interesting. Now, like I said, I am playing on the Next Fest demo for this video. And as of this, there's only a few days left in the demo. I should have done this sooner, I know, but you know what? Never hurts. You know, better late than never, I guess. So, because this probably still be relevant to Foundry in general, so yeah. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at how Foundry does its systems in the first place. So we looked at the controls last time, and now let's actually look at the buildings and the structures that are used as part of the automation. Okay, so I'm up here in the mall I had built for this, and I guess the first thing I want to say is you're gonna have to build your mall at one point, and I will describe why I built this like this in a moment. But first, we need to talk about how the game handles loaders and the building structures and all of that. So we're just gonna go here. Let me grab some buildings. Yeah, I've got plenty of loaders, belts, and all of that. Okay. So, I can't use that. That's a walkway. That's not an actual buildable platform. And I'll get into that probably later, or maybe another video. Okay, we got space down here. Okay, so we're over here. So I've already mentioned how if you want to, build something from your inventory, you can just right-click on it and put it down. Well, the thing is, all the structures that we're going to be using need foundations for them. So, because the foundations transfer the low-voltage power that the structures, the assembly structures and such, all, work on. So, you can simply drag them out and all that. And what it likes to do is to show you on these little edges where marking the boundary. And you will see when you come over to here, it marks out what areas that are taken up. It's pretty handy. It's, it's a little mostly aesthetic detail, but it does help give you an idea where there's room to place stuff and not, because, right here, it's showing you the gap. So you could technically put this through here. You can put a belt through there. Does this work? Hell, you could put a block there. See, you can seal it up. You could even, I don't have any of those. But you could probably, put the terrain blocks in there and such. But either way, you can do stuff with that space. Now, as you can see, we got ourselves a little area here. Now I'm going to bring down an assembler. Now, I kind of brought this off of there, so it's sharing the power from there. Now, as you can see, we got the building here. When you go into it, you have your screen, and all the buildings have a screen like this. You don't actually interact with the menu. It's all right here. Well, I say that, but that's not fully true, but anyways. So, I know I just said there's no menu, but then when you go to click on the button here, you get your menu, so you can select whatever you're going to build. So let's just say something easy. Let's do some walkways. Always can use some extra walkways. It's not like I didn't build entire platforms out of them. Well, oh. Now, you have it here. Okay, well, what happens if we lose power? Oh, well, let's say, no longer connected. No power. So, just make sure you're connected. So if it says no power, then guess what? No power. And say here, 1 block, missing building foundation. You just need to come in here and find where there's a hole missing and be on your way. Now, for the actual automation itself. Hang on a minute. Let me grab some materials. Okay, so we have a container here and a container here. I haven't filled them with anything yet, but... So, say you have resources coming in here, and our resource in this case is going to be the ferrite plates. Well, this is our destination. Easy enough, right? Well, here's the things you can do. Now, in the most basic sense of the word, or sense of the idea, to automate this, you'll put a loader down. As you can see, it says building and belt. That tells you where it's going to attach. You have these slots on the bottom here. Any one of those slots, you can attach these loaders to. And in that case, most of the time you'll probably line it up like this. And we'll put these like this. And you have yourself a straight line. Now the thing is you have just one loader. It defaults in most cases to intake. Well, I need outputs. Well, yeah, because you can't, just constantly intake to here because it needs the output to there. So simple case is you just have to hit this toggle button. Flips it over. It's now orange and even has arrows on top to show you which way the flow will be. And then all you gotta do is put down your belt. Now the cool thing is you can use this as a temporary toggle to keep it from operating. So you can lay this down, put your belt down. Oh look, it's not putting anything down yet. So the belts are moving. Well, now we want to set this up. Okay, so we have our walkway recipe set. So let's send it down. Well, first, what are we looking at? 120 a minute to make 40 a minute. And that recipe is basically 3 plates make 1 walkway. Alright, straighten out forward, right? Now we just hit this, switch that to an output. We'll hit this one to switch it to an output too. And there it goes. We're like, wait, why won't it take anymore? You can stack up to 200 plates. Why is it only taking 9? Well, the thing is the way the nature of this game is that it only takes up to 3 times the requirement of the recipe. So if you had a more, say a more complex recipe, say like the research server, which as you see, it's holding up to 60 because this requires 20 plates to make. So it will hold only up to 60 of them. That's 3 times the recipe. Now, when it's like this, you can either manually add more to it, so it will hold more. And you could also do this if you wanted to. You could just come over here and you can hit the auto insert and oh look, it put in the max amount of the stack. But the thing is, it will still in the end only insert from the loader 3 times the recipe. Oh, and every time you change the recipe, it switches it back. It puts all the materials that was in there into your inventory. So I can just come back here and throw those back in. Which, by the way, this right here will tell you some your movement control options. So, as you see, only 3 times the recipe. Okay, so you have a source material, and you have 2 destinations you can send it to. Maybe you have, like 2 assemblers, like another lane of assemblers or something like that. But you have more than 1 machine. Well, you can use the logistics cube to split your outputs. So, for example, you do this manner right here. And you could simply put, just do this. Now, I'm being a little exaggerative with this for the moment, just so you can see what you could do as a destination. But the thing is you can actually use all of these. So you could put a belt right here, and it goes over. Right there. Take this one, you can put it right there. This one can go to here. You can bring this this one to here. You know, you can do all of that right there. And then just go output, 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 output. And it will output onto all those belts at the max speed of the belt. And it will split them into the containers evenly. $279, $246. The difference being is I started with these as the output, so this got a little extra ahead. So, you know, overall, yeah, it's even. It will split between the two destinations evenly as long as your outputs are distributed evenly, no matter how many there are. Well, I say that, but it also is dependent on your belt and a bunch of other factors, but what it does is it goes through each of its outputs like a ring, taking in turn. Okay, so this logic also applies to the output of the machines, because each one of these is its own input-output variable. So you can essentially, so if we take and set up, okay, so you can see I've got 4 outputs here on this machine. And we have the 4 inputs here between these two. And then we've got rods in here and the recipe to make wires, which this makes at 80 a minute. So that means we should be putting half over there and half in the other one, and you should be seeing them split in between these 4 lanes evenly. So all we gotta do is get this output. And as you can see, it's dividing them all evenly along the outputs of this machine. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and they'll do it, I think somebody who I talked to also said they do it in the order you place the loaders on there. So, now, however, this is one thing I noticed, and this is a rare thing, is that if I think each of these ports have like a number, and if you assemble your loaders in a certain way, it sometimes won't register a proper output or whatever it is, and will and it'll make you, and it'll disrupt the flow. But it's really rare. I've only seen it happen twice, and I've got like somewhere 500 total hours at minimum on Foundry. At least on versions, you know, the earlier versions before this version of the game. So, and that's just on those. And I abuse this system so much. These loaders make everything so convenient. Now, here's another cool thing I like about Foundry and their loader placements. Oh, wait, that building is inconvenient. I need to turn it around. You just pick it up, put it down. It tells you at the bottom where the panel's facing. I don't want it to face this way anymore. I want to face it the other way. So we're going to rotate it so it faces this way, and then we just put it right back into place. And guess what? As soon as you set your recipe, which in this case is the coil again, it just gets working. I didn't have to change anything else. I didn't have to reconnect belts. I didn't have to do this. All I had to do was just pick it up and put it right back down in my more desired position. And that's the same for everything. Like, say, I wanted to pick this up because I don't want it there. I want to move it over. Oh, I put it right there. It gets right back to working, provided I have it on the right output. Same thing for the belts. That's the, you know, that's like one of the big advantages to this game as far as, you know, factory work is concerned. Like, everything is so flexible. If you mess up the placement of a building, whoop-de-doo. You only have to fix a few, you know, directly affected items. You don't have to, like, rebuild an entire system necessarily, unless the system is just screwed in the first place. That's pretty much it. Okay, so you can sometimes have, sometimes probably the most convenient way to put items on a belt is, you know, generally just stacking along in this manner. And that works fine, but eventually if your total output onto this belt is more than the belt's capacity, then it starts getting belt, you know, backed up. Now here's the thing, since I just started this one up to go into a container, this one's starting to relieve itself. And you see it had 200 in the stack. Well, the problem is these aren't going down. These loaders don't force their way onto the belt. It has to wait for there to actually be an opening, then it can drop one in that space. If it's a small gap, it will force it in, but if there's no small gap, like, you know, this one's outputting at the max rate, these have to wait until the belt has a gap on it before it can put one out. And that ends up being an issue. Now, one way you can combat this is you can use the distributors. This thing right here. Now, as you can see, this belt is moving. It's going in here, getting thrown into there, and it's spitting out. But this right here, those are full because where they're going, it's full. Blah, 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 it's backing up. Now, the thing is that distribution system, if you were to put all of these into that container instead, build them their own individual line to go into there, it will pick up from the line in the same evenly split way as it outputs it, like in this manner. So as you can see, the belts are empty, they're all emptying evenly, but none of them are getting backed up because they all go straight into the container, and because of how it picks it up, it takes it in evenly. No one belt is actually getting preferred over the other. However, the bad thing with this is it takes up room. It takes up a lot of room, and you gotta get creative with your builds. It works really good at the plant, but in the end of the day, you're just trying to shove everything into a container so it can get to here, and then these pick off as they're necessary. So it's mostly, while it is an ability for here and such, it's kind of like an aesthetics choice for stuff like this. So the splitting on the inbound and splitting on the outbound, you know, you have your classic splitter to do it. You can use the outputs to split it. You can use logistics containers to manage it, because every port is a possibility of an output and an input, and it picks evenly, kind of like in a round robin, you know, goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it could be all based on the order you place the thing down. I haven't experimented that far, and as you can see, 196, 198, even. Granted, I do have half and half. Now, if I had, like, moved one belt over to that container, then we probably would have seen 75%, 25%, you know, comparison. Because in all the factory games, this one and its logistics containers, those things are excellent. They're like the best balancers in the game, and especially because in all factory games that I've played, which isn't a lot maybe compared to some, but it is an amazing thing. It really is. Now, another trick you can do if you want to prioritize something, and I'm doing this here, is, so I have it set up. I have... Oh. One. Okay, so here's my mall. I said I was going to talk about this earlier, and we're going to talk about this now. Now, why is it built up like one big long line? Well, here's the thing. For the most part, at least in the demo, 90% of everything is made of with one of 4 parts. Deckham rods, electronic components, ferrite plates, and machinery parts. They're all made of those 4 parts. So, ferrite plates and machinery parts, those are both ferrite. So, and you turn machinery parts or plates into machinery parts. Deckham rods get turned into wire. Then you take the rod and wire and you turn it into electronic components. A little bit more intensive, but you know what? It still works. So you just bring these 4 lines and you can make 2 big long lines of one of rod and one of electronic components. And then you make another 2 long lines, one of plates and one of machinery parts. And you just stretch them down here and you just put a big long line of assemblers. Suggestion, your first assembler makes assemblers. So you can use that to place all your other assemblers. Now the only exception to this, or the biggest exception, I shouldn't say the only exception, there's a few other exceptions, but the biggest exception to this is the belts. As the first stage of belts requires all ferrite. It requires plates and machinery parts. Well, you got that already covered on the backside. Yes, we do. The problem isn't that. The problem is the other pieces, the slopes and the balancer and the tier 2 belts. They require conveyor level 1s to make. And then when you get to the tier 2 conveyor, or the conveyor 2s, they require conveyor 1s plus electronic components and machinery parts to make the tier 2s, and then those tier 2s are used to make the slope 2 and the balancer 2. Well, actually, technically, I think... yeah. So slope 2 requires slope 1. Slope 1 requires conveyor belt 1. You can see how it gets weird. And so, outside of that, the belt shenanigans, everything else that you get here is pretty much made right here amongst with one of these 4 parts. Walkways. There's no good place to actually talk about walkways, so we're just going to do it now. Okay, so you see these structures along the edge of these platforms here with all the yellows, this right here? These are walkways. The item is called a walkway. And they are interesting because they have a number of modes. So we're going to go out to our demonstration platform here. So you have the platform, the stairs, ledge inside corner, ledge outside corner. So the platform, when you build it, looks like that. Now if you snap another platform to it, it morphs the overall shape. So now it's got those bars enclosing that space. Well, we can drag it out. So we will create this. Oh look, it's fenced in that entire area. Let's finish it out. What if we add this right here? Oh, okay. So you get the idea, right? Right. Well, I want to climb something. Say, let's go right here. We want to climb to the top. You can drag stairs up. Now, if you notice, there's a small problem. It's got the rails, and we got to jump over those right now. But you can open them up. So we'll just take this, grab the inside ledge, and we put this right here, it dropped the bars. Now we just walk in. You can take this and match around these different areas. Because if you come here and use the regular ledge, which does the same thing, it opens only for that side and it doesn't open for that side. Now the inside corner, however, or outside corner, is just a filler piece, basically. I'll show you where you can appropriately use it, but yeah, no, like, so we can take the inside ledges, fill in there, fill in there, and then we'll take the regular ledges, you go to there, now look, now it's a flat platform. And then we can take but you've got these broken corners here. Well, that's where these come in, because they can fill in the slots in such a manner. But like, where else would we use these? Well, you can use these to cover bridges that you have made, like I did here. So you're less likely to fall off. You can create stairways up to your mall or over. Create little ramps that go over top of belts. Create safety rails so that you don't fall off in general, or just create massive walking platforms that act as a hub for all your other platforms. And you could even partially obscure ramps and structures so it's hidden. Where it normally would be open, say like you sunk a belt. Let's say like we do this and we sink a belt down here. Guess what? You could put a platform over top of this and it would hide the belts being sunk and you can walk over it. I mean, it is like one of my favorite pieces in the game to use and abuse. Like, I've used it to create different looks for creations and such. And you can use it just to walk over stuff and just create this nice traversable area. And you can combine it with other things and such. It just, yeah, it does help make things nice. And by the way, when I say I abuse it to create different looks, and it kind of looks like a window. Like an industrialized window. But I mean, it is, you know, it's still a platform though. So, you know, it only goes so far. So, yeah. Hopefully some of this helped you out. Hope it, you know, help keep things in mind when you go to, you know, build your things and you're trying to figure out how to balance your, you know, your different ramps and such, or your different outputs and inputs. You're not limited to one. I guess the whole point, what I'm trying to get across with today, is you're not limited to just one input. You're not limited to one output. You're not limited to two. You're limited to as many as you can fit in the area. Your outputs aren't limited. Your resource storage isn't limited to one. You have these possibilities to expand it however you choose. And I hope you see this and you go like, oh, I could do that? Yes. Yes, you can. And that, to me, is one of the strong points for this game, is just how flexible your input-output system in this game is. Okay, the balancer. Basically, on how to operate it. I know, like, I was talking about all the other stuff, and I kind of glossed past it, so we're going to do a full look at it right now. And what I have it doing is it's basically got these two belts, and it's leading straight into here, and out of these. So we got it splitting between these two containers, receiving from these two. So we're gonna throw in all these walkways. So I have a whole bunch of them. So as you can see, now that the flow is done, well, we want to go to the other side. it switches sides. We want to do it evenly, we put it right in the middle. So now we want to just go into one container, but we want to merge two different lines. Well, this is where it actually comes in at advantage. So we have our two outputs. Now, as you can see, because the one line, it'll spit on this line because it's an overflow. But since this one now is not taking any in, so it's all going to that side, as you can see, it's now left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. You can see they stop. Now I choose a priority. It's going to take all that side first. I switch to the other priority. It takes that side first. And then when I have in the middle, it picks from evenly. So, you know, we switch sides. It still does what it's supposed to. Now here's the thing too. They have their own belt speeds as well. So if you have a slower belt on one side, it'll take from that side, but if you take it from here, you'll notice it slows down, and where it's the gap, it will grab one from the other belt and insert it at the proper speed. So you can use this to manipulate speeds and different distribution. So it has its job and purposes. But if you just need to split straight outputs, it's better just to use different outputs. But this is really good for management of your resources, of which lines are priority, which ones aren't, and where the output is prioritized. And it will force lanes to merge evenly as well. Because you can stack these up in the same manner as I've done this, and it will give you the same result as well. So it's just a choice of how you want to do it for that application. So, alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. I think I covered enough. So hopefully, as you sit and play, some of these tips and tricks will help you, and you can see, hopefully I showed you how it works out. So yeah, so I hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed your watch. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you think about all of it. Helps the channel out immensely. Blah 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 blah. I can talk. And yeah, this is Arcades signing out. Have yourself a good day. Whee! I want a camera!